What terrible product sells by the millions? Hart's brand pet flea treatments/medication. It's dangerous and has been the cause of death for many pets. IIRC. It's a nerve agent that's supposed to make the pet's blood toxic to fleas. I used some on my cat once and she started freaking out, then had trouble waking normally. Her legs were twitching and kicking, clearly out of her control, and tears of brown thick liquid started streaming down her face. I picked her up and frantically gave her a bath, hoping to wash any of the remaining chemicals off the back of her neck before any more of that poison seeped into her skin. It's bad. The kids nowadays are growing up in a P2W environment. They don't even know it's pay to win. It's all they ever knew, and it's getting worse as time goes on. One of my favorite games I have ever played, Total War Arena, suffers from chronic P2W. The fanboys will fight tooth and nail to say it's not pay to win. Hell, the mods even banned me for talking about it too much. The game died on Steam. Then went to Wargaming to become more P2W, then died again. Now it's on its last legs in China with even more pay to win. It's an amazing game with its main problem being pay to win. So instead of recognizing that, Creative Assembly just doubles down, triples down on the pay to win. And each time the game and player base suffer more and more. Puppy mill puppies. Sorry to compare them to a product, but that's how they're treated. No one should purchase a puppy from a pet store, ever. This now extends to online brokerage websites like Greenfield and Puppy Spot. They're like Amazon, a few clicks and a puppy will be sent to your door, and these puppies are coming from the exact same place as the pet store puppies. Because of people's need for instant gratification, these facilities with hundreds to thousands of breeding animals persist. They are the best cash crop you could hope for. Never believe a store who claims they only sell puppies from responsible breeders. No, not even if the owner has visited the breeders and know they're good. By definition, a responsible breeder would never send their puppies to a pet store. Even pet stores that claim to only have rescues need to be scrutinized, because some mills will use a shell rescue to puppy launder. Licensed and certified breeders should be a red flag. Depending on the state, a breeder only needs to be licensed if they have a large number of dogs, are selling to brokers to go to pet stores, or to people sight unseen, online. YMMV. Depending on the state. People sometimes justify their purchases as saving puppies from a pet store. But that is still investing in the industry and funding their operations by giving them profit. Legislation hasn't stemmed the tide. Only a loss of profit will make mills move on to another hustle. So please educate yourself and anyone you know who loves dogs and might ever be tempted to purchase a puppy from a pet store or online. Either adopt from a responsible rescue, or purchase from a responsible breeder. I worked at Petland many years ago. Every single puppy there came from a mill, no exceptions. Every week a dude in a van would pull up and open the back, which was filled floor to ceiling with cages. He would grab the ones we were supposed to get and then go make more deliveries. The puppies would be put in quarantine in a separate room for about a week before they could go into the windowed cages for customers to see. I'm being completely honest when I say 2/3 of the dogs had health problems and half of them went back to the breeder without ever leaving quarantine. Tons of little things that management didn't care about, like breed standards or extra toes or behavioral issues, to more severe stuff like inguinal hernias or having severe hip dysplasia at 6 months old. To add to that, the dogs were insanely overpriced. You want a chocolate lab? $1,500. A golden retriever? $1,700. A French bulldog? $3,200. And if you fell in love with one of the dogs, we were supposed to push financing options on you to sell more dogs. Second most soul-sucking job I've had. Don't buy dogs from Petland. The more I look around, the more I'm convinced quite a lot of obesity is directly mental health related. Or more accurately, mental health levels are reflected in waistlines. Obs not 100% as there are rarer medical issues etc. I'm fat, and I'm fat because I eat too much, shocking, I know, and I eat too much because I have mental health issues that taught me to ignore my body and its responses, or in extreme cases to food medicate it into silence. My fat friends, I can tell you the mental health underlying problems they have that I think cause their weight problems. My skinnier friends, all have either good coping/mental health strategies or have non-food based problems. Keep in mind I'm in my 40s, so there's less young metabolism hiding issues. I have a psych degree too, so I guess it's possible there's some when all you've got is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail going on. First off, I have no ill will towards anyone who adopted a pug. You are a lovely, wonderful person for giving that little boo a good pampered life. I appreciate anybody who makes the effort to caring for a dog-like family. My issue is with pug breeders. They're not a naturally evolved dog breed, they were selectively bred to have flatter faces and bigger eyes over the last few centuries. What resulted is an animal that not only couldn't survive in the wild, but an animal that cannot survive without humans' modern medical intervention. Pugs suffer from a myriad of significant health complications. Their entire life, they really struggle just to exist, and it's pretty sad to think millions of these animals were born into these deliberately manufactured genes because they look so cute. Again, if you own a pug, no judgment. Obviously. I'm not going to be a dick and shame people for loving their pug. Quite the opposite. I'm certain they put a ton of effort and money into giving that little love muffin the best possible life, like any member of the family, and I hugely respect them for doing so. But when that sweet angel fulfills its life and gets its wings back, I would recommend a bit of pause before the replacement pug. You could just try a different toy breed, not only to reduce the demand for more pug breeding but just for the variety in dog owning experience. You can get a pug crossbreed, which would reduce the amount of health complications they have. Or, you could do some in-depth research and become a part of a pug breeding rehabilitation initiative, which is a growing association of pug breeders trying to genetically undo the health complications that have arisen over the last couple centuries. That sounds ideal, and I hope to go that route the next time I need a new bike. But in defense of shitty department store bikes, for many people, the availability of cheap bikes is the difference between having a bike and not having one. For most of my life it has not been a safe assumption that I had $300 to $400 laying around to comfortably spend at any given moment in time. Much of the time that I could have bought something that cost that much outright, it would have been very unwise. It might mean not having rent later. A $125 bike from Target, $200 would have been out of the question, on the other hand, felt like much less frivolous spending. I've had that same bike from Target for most of a decade now, and while it's absolutely nothing special, it's been perfectly adequate for my needs. I don't ride much now, but it was my primary transportation to work for several jobs. And because it's a shit bike, I never worried about being a target of bike theft, even in a city notorious for that. I have taken it to bike shops on occasion and the repairs/checkups have cost less than $100 each, which has been low enough and rare enough that I could afford them. Douching products. I'm not talking about a particular brand because they're all as bad as each other. Douching for one isn't necessary as a healthy woman's vagina is pretty much self-cleaning, making such products unnecessary. Douching also puts women at risk of all sorts of things such as bacterial vaginosis, UTIs, and yeast infections. If she already happens to have one of these, it can push the bacteria causing the infection further up into the fallopian tubes, uterus, and ovaries. It's a useless and dangerous product that has probably caused countless infections yet still sells by the million in developed countries because there seems to be no one saying that a product tied to so many health concerns should be banned. I personally think they should be banned due to the harm they cause. I however realize that this argument could be used to ban all sorts of the things like cigarettes, alcohol, junk food yada yada, and that isn't going to happen. I do however think that perhaps this is different because those things aren't targeting one specific group, especially with the idea that a woman's vagina is automatically disgusting, foul, smelly, etc. and needs fixing. A foul odor is a sign of an infection, not a need for douching. One group, women, specifically are targeted here, not society in general, so perhaps that makes it different. Just about anything that comes off the shelf from Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, or any other dollar store. There's a reason that stuff is inexpensive. That reason is that it is garbage. It's poor quality, it took huge resources to ship it here across the ocean, it's designed to be disposable and end up floating around the ocean with the rest of the garbage in a hurry. Edit: I'm not judging people who have to shop there out of economic necessity. They are victims of a system that's crooked. I like what Terry Pratchett said, the reason that the rich were so rich, Vims reasoned, was because they managed to spend less money. Take Boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50. But an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kind of boots Vims always bought, and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell where he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. This was the Captain Samuel Vims Boots theory of socio-economic unfairness. I own a leather belt and leather boots, and nothing I've ever owned has held up that well. Sorry to say, but hunting/farming and use of animal products has been part of the human experience for tens of thousands of years and probably isn't going away anytime soon. I come from a family with indigenous and conservationist heritage. My grandfather was a fur trapper, and I take a lot of pride in that family craft and heritage. No dig on vegans, your ethics are your choice and that's all good, but I don't see anything cruel about using every part of an animal we've already domesticated after it's already died. I think it's honoring the animal's life and making use of what it gave us. Not speaking for factory farms, but if you buy ethically, grass-fed, free-range beef, free-run eggs, high-quality leathers, I don't think you should feel bad about it. That being said, I think hunting is infinitely more ethical than factory farming, and personally do not buy farm meat at the grocery store for this very reason. For the people paying this much, generally the cost of the phone is rolled into the monthly payments, since most people opt for a phone that costs $1,000 or more because that is what the provider tells you, you need, the phone bill is this high. Of course the sheep follow the herd, and everyone gets roped into something like this, which means an unnecessarily high phone bill. Most people can't afford to go to a carrier and pay $1,000 or $1,500 for a phone up front, so they put the cost of the phone as a monthly payment into your bill. The big thing is a lot of people in the US aren't tech savvy, and they don't know how to get it cheaper, or they certainly don't want to be bothered. I know I don't want to pay over $1,000 a year just for phone service, so I take the cheaper route. I buy my phones separately and they cost about $200 each brand new. You can get phones very cheaply in the USA if you pay attention, plus there's always the option of used hand-me-downs which you can get from friends sometimes for free. Then I pay for a separate plan that includes 1 GB of data, unlimited talk and text for about $10 to $12 a month. Overall I pay about $120 a year for phone service. Also in the USA there is Wi-Fi everywhere, literally everywhere, so chances are you don't need as much data as you think you need. Here's the big thing, the $200 phone is just as good as the $1,000 phone, they both have the same kind of battery in them with the same very limited amount of charge cycles. Your phone is only as good as your battery, and when your battery is shot your phone is no longer useful. Now there's a small percentage of people in the USA who actually do need a phone that costs over $1,000, however, your average smartphone user does not need a phone that expensive, trust me on this. People are overbuying phones en masse here, because the commercials and providers tell you that you need it, when in reality if you switch to something cheaper probably 95% of the population of the USA wouldn't know the difference because all smartphones do exactly the same thing. You pay to watch commercials. Every news show is promoting something. Every show is precisely planned and produced despite the random vibe they may give off. That vibe is planned too. The news is not something the news team went out and got. The content is designed to manipulate you. Everything is timed and planned out to keeping you around after the next commercial break or to sell you something. You don't need that drug you never heard of, that you need to ask your doctor about it being right for you. You probably already have lizard car insurance and you might think that damn emu is annoying. You should go to Disneyland or buy an alarm system you don't need. Look how well dressed they are, you want clothes like them. You get to watch the ads over and over and over, and don't you think you'll be able to change the channel at commercial break and escape them? And you pay the cable a crazy amount of money for this privilege. Guilty. The product has steadily declined over the years, TBH, it was a waste and a massive time sink even at its best, but I digress. But the only thing that keeps me holding on is the fact that after years and years of barely playing anymore, I started my own guild with all older players like me and we have really made some great friendships. The game is just the context/backdrop where we interact. Especially for my wife and I who are in a transition period in our lives, working from home and shuffling kids off to college. We just moved, downsized and taking profit from the crazy market, and currently are living in a small rental owned by family. Ergo, we don't have a lot to do, COVID is ramping up again, and we're saving money for our next move, so it makes sense for us. If another game came along that offered similar gameplay, simple/casual without a PvP focus, we'd probably lead the charge, but we simply did not expect to enjoy the people we've met recently so much or our guild to succeed the way it has. I'm guessing the MyPillow. It's an overpriced, poorly made, mass-produced and marketed, which I'm sure is where the budget for this product goes to. I'm betting like 80%/20% in terms of marketing and then production costs. Not only is it just a pillow, and I'm not super well versed or well educated on the design/engineering/etc. of pillow technology. I'm sure there is a good/better/best in terms of form/fit/function. I'm also guessing shape, give, softness, firmness, design, ability to transfer heat away, actual therapeutic, if there is such a thing, designed or incorporated into a pillow, cervical, neck pain, side sleepers, back sleepers, crazy flip-flop dip fantasia sleepers that take the whole bed, most GFS/wives/dogs, etc. Again, I'm sure there is a good/better/best pillow that has qualities that far exceed many other pillows in the pillowverse that are by far and away, and most likely not a huge far and away distance from those that are lesser pillows, pillows that serve and work in the purpose for which they are designed. One that comes to mind is a bean-shaped pillow made and designed for pregnant women. My wife had one and swore by it as it was shaped so it would alleviate tummy strain, let it curve in between her legs so she could rest one on top of the pillow, and lots of other things it was designed and made for, and worked. And it was like around $50 I think. Anyways, back to the subject, the MyPillow is just a mass-produced, insanely marketed, and this is why it sells and where they make the profits, as it's really just a pillow. It's marketed and has a price point, and I'm betting a weight that makes you think that it's a great pillow, tons of reviews, feels heavy so gives a sense of quality, and much more. Turns out that the CEO/owner/inventor of this pillow is a sack of shit, a Trump support, and literally gives Trump his bank account information and has pledged his allegiance and support for one of the worst people, candidates, presidents, and whatever other names and titles he's had over the years. He, along with the rest of the Trump cult, is a piece of shit who sells product, simply a bag stuffed with filling we know as a pillow. Ads everywhere, product everywhere from Walmart to Bed Bath & Beyond. I think they actually removed this item from their stores due to the guy being a